Greatness grows in silence because silence is where you learn to hear the truth about who you are and who you're becoming. When the noise fades, your excuses disappear, your distractions weaken, and the real work begins. In silence, you confront the version of yourself that no one else sees, the version that must be disciplined, focused, and committed long before success ever shows up. Silence becomes a mirror, revealing the places you need to grow and the habits you need to build. And in that quiet space, strength begins to form from the inside out. When you step away from the chatter of the world, you start to understand that growth isn't supposed to be glamorous. It's not polished, not perfect, and definitely not public. It's slow, uncomfortable, and often unappreciated. But in that discomfort, something powerful is being shaped. You learn resilience. You build character. You develop the consistency that others don't see, but will eventually admire when your results appear. Silence forces you to rely on discipline instead of approval. And that simple shift changes everything. As you continue working in silence, you begin to respect the process more than the praise. When there's no audience, you aren't performing, you're transforming. You're showing up for yourself, not for applause, and the work you put in becomes more authentic. You're no longer driven by who might be watching or what they might say. You're driven by a deeper purpose, something internal, something stable, something that doesn't fade when opinions shift or attention disappears. There's a type of power that can only be built in quiet spaces. It's the power of routine, the power of repetition, the power of doing the small, unglamorous tasks every single day. The world may overlook these moments, but your future won't. Your future will be shaped by the hours you stayed committed when no one congratulated you, the nights you chose discipline over comfort, the mornings you pushed through fatigue when no one was there to cheer you on. These are the moments that forge greatness long before anyone recognizes it. Silence also teaches you patience, and patience is a rare form of strength. When you're quiet, you stop rushing the process. You stop comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. You stop expecting instant results from long-term work. Instead, you learn to sow before you expect to reap. You learn to build a foundation strong enough to hold the success you're preparing for. Silence deepens your understanding that meaningful growth takes time, and anything rushed rarely lasts. Greatness requires elevation, and elevation requires separation. You cannot rise while clinging to every voice around you. The more you grow, the more intentional you must be about what and whom you allow into your mental space. Silence helps you filter out the unnecessary, the draining, the discouraging. It protects your energy so you can pour it into your purpose. Not every opinion deserves space in your journey, and not every conversation needs your attention. Silence makes you selective, and being selective strengthens your focus. In the stillness, you also sharpen your vision. Without the distractions of noise and approval, you gain clarity on what you truly want. You stop pursuing goals that impress others and start pursuing goals that align with your purpose. You begin to recognize what matters and what doesn't. You begin to see your path not through the eyes of the world, but through the lens of your calling. Silence simplifies your mission and amplifies your direction. The more time you spend in silence, the more you realize how powerful small steps can be. Consistency becomes easier when you're not trying to broadcast every move. You don't waste energy explaining, defending, or proving yourself. You simply work. You build, you improve, and each silent step becomes a brick in the foundation of the future you're creating. Over time, these quiet steps accumulate into something undeniable, something unshakable, something worthy of respect. Silence trains you to trust the process even when there is no recognition, no applause, and no external validation. You learn to validate your own progress, celebrate your own improvement, to recognize your own growth. This kind of internal validation is far stronger and more stable than anything the world can give. It keeps you grounded when you rise and steady when you fall. It builds a confidence that isn't loud, but is deeply rooted. The kind of confidence that can withstand challenges and setbacks without crumbling. And through all of this, silence becomes the soil where greatness takes root. It's where discipline grows, clarity deepens, vision sharpens, and character strengthens. It's where the seeds of future success are planted long before they break through the surface for the world to see. In that quiet, unseen place, greatness is not just built, it is cultivated day by day, choice by choice, moment by moment. Results speak louder than declarations because words can promise anything, but results reveal the truth. Anyone can say they're committed, focused, disciplined, or destined for greatness, but only actions confirm it. Declarations are easy. They require no sacrifice, no effort, no risk. Results, on the other hand, demand consistency, patience, and resilience. They are earned, not announced. They cannot be faked or exaggerated because they reflect the quality of your habits, the depth of your discipline, and the seriousness of your intentions. When you focus on results instead of declarations, you shift your energy from performance to progress. You stop trying to impress people and start trying to improve yourself. Every hour you work, every skill you sharpen, and every challenge you push through becomes a deposit in your future success. You learn to value the quiet grind more than loud promises. You stop telling people what you will do someday and start showing them what you can build today. That shift in mindset transforms your entire path. Declarations often come from emotion, but results come from execution. Emotion fades, motivation fluctuates, but disciplined action compounds. When you rely too much on declarations, you build false confidence around what you intend to do. But when you rely on results, you build real confidence from what you've actually done. Results become proof. Proof that you can follow through, proof that you're growing, proof that your commitment is real. This kind of proof strengthens your identity far more than any spoken promise ever could. The world listens to results in a way it never listens to declarations. People hear what you say, but they believe what you produce. They may nod when you talk about your dreams, but they pay attention when those dreams start taking shape in measurable, undeniable form. Results command respect without asking for it. They turn skeptics into believers and silence the doubts of people who once underestimated you. Results eliminate the need for explanations because they are the explanation. Focusing on results also protects your vision from unnecessary pressure. When you announce your goals too early, you invite opinions, criticism, and expectations that can drain your energy. Declarations can create a spotlight you're not ready for. But when you work quietly and let results speak, you stay in control of your pace, your process, and your progress. You grow without interruption, and you evolve without distraction. You don't have to defend your goals because you're too busy building them. Every result you achieve, no matter how small, becomes a stepping stone towards something bigger. These small wins stack up over time, forming a pathway of progress that even you may not notice at first, but eventually your consistency becomes visible through your transformation. Your skill improves, your confidence rises, your opportunities expand. These visible changes speak louder than any declaration you could have made. They show that you didn't just talk about growth, you lived it. Results also create momentum. Once you see progress, even in tiny increments, you become more motivated to push forward. It's a self-feeding cycle. Results fuel ambition, and ambition fuels more results. Declarations rarely create this cycle because they offer temporary excitement but no real evidence of movement. But results keep you grounded and forward-focused because they remind you that your effort is producing something tangible. They keep you committed even when the journey feels long. Declarations can attract attention, but results attract opportunities. People want to work with those who execute, not those who talk. Doors open for those who produce value, not for those who merely promise potential. When your work speaks for you, you don't have to chase recognition or approval. It naturally gravitates toward you. Results become a magnet for favor, connections, and influence, all because you proved your dedication through action, not words. In the process of letting results speak, you develop a stronger work ET. You start caring less about being seen and more about becoming skilled. You learn that real achievement is not born from loud ambition, but from quiet discipline. The more results you produce, the more you trust yourself because you have evidence, not hype, of your ability to follow through. This inner trust becomes one of your greatest strengths. giving you confidence that lasts longer than any declaration ever could. Ultimately, focusing on results shapes you into someone who doesn't need to announce their intentions. Your progress becomes visible through your actions, your consistency, and your transformation. You learn that the loudest person in the room is rarely the most competent, and the quietest person is often the one building something powerful. Results become your voice, your reputation, and your signature, speaking on your behalf with a clarity no declaration can match. Silence is strategy, not weakness, because silence gives you the power to observe, to understand, and to prepare without interference. When you choose silence, you're not hiding, you're studying, you're gaining clarity on your next move without broadcasting it to those who may not support it or understand it. In silence, you position yourself with intention rather than reacting impulsively to every voice, opinion, or distraction that comes your way. It's a deliberate choice to think before acting and to act with purpose rather than pressure. Silence strengthens your ability to focus. When you're not busy explaining your goals or defending your decisions, you free up mental space to work on what truly matters. Talking often creates a false sense of progress, but silence keeps you grounded in action. It allows you to invest your energy into the process instead of conversations that drain you without moving you forward. In this quiet space, your creativity expands, your ideas sharpen, and your discipline grows because you're not performing for an audience. You're building for your future. Silence also protects your vision from unnecessary noise. Not everyone deserves access to your plans, and not everyone has earned the right to influence your journey. When you share your goals too soon, you invite comparison, doubt, and pressure that can suffocate your momentum. But when you work silently, you shield your dreams from voices that could distort or weaken them. Silence becomes a boundary that filters out negativity and keeps your purpose pure and focused. There is a level of strength that can only be developed when you learn to move quietly. Silence forces you to rely on your own instincts, your own drive, and your own commitment. It trains you to trust yourself even when you're surrounded by uncertainty. You learn to navigate challenges without seeking validation or applause. You grow into someone who stays steady regardless of who notices or who doesn't. And that inner stability becomes a strategic advantage in every stage of your journey. Silence also allows you to gather information without revealing your direction. When you are quiet, you listen more. You learn more. You observe patterns, behaviors, and opportunities that loud voices often miss. You can assess situations with clarity because you're not competing to be heard. You're watching, analyzing, and positioning yourself wisely. This ability to observe without exposing your intentions gives you insight that others underestimate. In silence, you gain the freedom to pivot without judgment. When your moves aren't public, you can shift your approach, refine your strategies, and adjust your goals without anyone questioning your decisions. You don't have to explain why you change directions or justify your choices. You can evolve quietly and strategically, allowing your growth to be guided by WI, instead of pressure. This flexibility is a powerful tool because it keeps you agile in a world that constantly shifts. Silence multiplies the impact of your actions. When people aren't expecting anything from you, your results hit harder. When they don't see the work you're doing, your breakthrough becomes undeniable. Silence builds anticipation without you saying a word. It allows the reveal to speak for itself. When your success finally emerges, it carries weight because it wasn't built on hype. It was built on substance. Silence keeps you from wasting energy on premature celebration. Talking about your goals often gives you the emotional reward before you've earned the actual reward. But silence forces you to wait until the work is finished. It reinforces the habit of completion rather than the habit of announcing. You build endurance, patience, and resilience, all of which are essential for long-term success. You start valuing progress over praise, and that shift creates consistency that declarations can't sustain. Silence is strategy because it eliminates unnecessary conflict. When you keep your plans close, you avoid resistance from people who might doubt your vision or feel threatened by your ambition. You prevent others from interfering with your momentum. You stop giving them the opportunity to discourage or distract you. Silence becomes a shield that protects your energy and keeps you moving forward without friction that could slow your pace. And through all of this, silence becomes the tool that elevates your results. Every quiet step you take is a step toward mastery, discipline, self-control. You're not avoiding the world. You're preparing for the moment you step into it with undeniable evidence of who you've become. Silence gives you the space to grow without pressure, to execute without interruption, and to rise without noise, proving that strategy, not sound, is what builds real and lasting success. Mastery over attention begins with understanding that what you focus on becomes what you create. Attention is one of the most valuable currencies you possess, and wherever you invest it, that area of your life grows. When you scatter your attention across distractions, opinions, or superficial pursuits, you lose the energy needed to develop depth. But when you direct your attention towards skill, purpose, and consistent improvement, you begin to build something solid. Mastery requires an intentional choice to place your mental energy where it matters most, instead of letting it be consumed by noise. In a world built on constant stimulation, mastery becomes rare because most people chase attention rather than controlling it. They want to be seen before they've prepared, praised before they've practiced, recognized before they've earned credibility. But real mastery is born when you reverse that pattern. You shift from seeking attention to producing results. You choose to develop competence rather than chasing compliments. You stop performing for approval and start training for excellence. This shift transforms your entire path. Mastery over attention means you become immune to the pull of instant gratification. You no longer trade long-term growth for short-term pleasure. You stop allowing notifications, trends, and distractions to break your focus every time they demand it. Instead, you train your mind to stay locked on the work that builds your future. You develop the discipline to remain present, intentional, and fully engaged in what strengthens you. This focus becomes one of your greatest assets because it multiplies the quality of everything you do. When you choose mastery over attention, you also learn to differentiate between urgent and important. Not every noise deserves your response, and not every opportunity deserves your commitment. You become selective about where your energy flows because you understand that attention is limited. Each moment of focus invested in the wrong direction steals from the goals that truly matter. You don't choose based on pressure, you choose based on purpose. This clarity sharpens your decision-making and accelerates your progress. Mastery over attention requires you to embrace boredom as part of the process. Growth isn't always exciting. Skill building isn't always glamorous. Repetition often feels mundane, but this monotony is where mastery is crafted. When you learn to focus during the boring, quiet, repetitive stages of development, you gain an advantage over those who only give attention when they feel inspired. You become consistent in moments when others become careless, and that consistency becomes the difference between potential and performance. Choosing mastery over attention means you stop measuring yourself by who is watching. You no longer depend on external affirmation to validate your growth. Instead, you learn to value internal proof, your improved skill, your discipline, your resilience. You rise above the need for applause because you're too invested in becoming excellent. You understand that attention can come and go, but mastery stays with you forever. It's a form of wealth no one can take away and no circumstance can diminish. As your mastery grows, you begin to notice that attention naturally follows. But it follows you on your terms. It arrives because you earned it, not because you chased it. When your skills become undeniable, people seek you out because of what you can deliver, not because of what you say. The recognition you eventually receive becomes a byproduct of your dedication, not the motivation for it. This creates a healthier, stronger, more stable foundation for success. Mastery over attention also strengthens your identity. You begin to see yourself not as someone who needs acknowledgement to feel valuable, but as someone whose value comes from the work you put in. Your confidence becomes grounded in preparation, practice, and excellence. You trust yourself because you've proven your commitment through disciplined focus. This self-trust becomes a quiet power that carries you through setbacks, challenges, and seasons of slow growth without losing direction. In mastering your attention, you gain the ability to enter deep states of focus where creativity, problem solving, and performance reach higher levels. You stop multitasking and start giving your full presence to one meaningful task at a time. This depth allows you to produce work of exceptional quality, the kind that stands out without needing promotion. You begin to realize that the greatest breakthroughs often come in moments of uninterrupted clarity, the kind that only disciplined focus can create. Over time, mastery over attention becomes mastery over your life. You no longer drift through your days reacting to distractions or chasing validation. You move with intention, purpose, and strength. You choose what deserves your focus and what does not. You build skills that elevate your future instead of feeding habits that sabotage it. You stop seeking attention to feel important and start building mastery to become unstoppable. Unseen discipline creates visible success because the moments no one witnesses are the moments that shape who you become. The world sees the outcome, but it never sees the quiet mornings when you rise before everyone else, the late nights spent refining your craft, or the internal battles you fight to stay consistent when motivation fades. These hidden choices, repeated over time, transform into achievements that look effortless from the outside but are built on layers of dedication beneath the surface. Every act of discipline you practice privately becomes a deposit into your future breakthroughs. You may not feel the rewards immediately, but each small decision strengthens your character, sharpens your skills, and builds your endurance. While others may search for shortcuts or chase quick results, you commit to the slow, steady, intentional work that compounds. Eventually, what was once unseen becomes undeniable. The results begin to show, not because you were lucky, but because you trained yourself long before anyone was paying attention. Unseen discipline is powerful because it removes the need for external approval. When no one is watching, you have only your purpose to answer to. You don't train for applause, you train for mastery. You don't work to impress, you work to improve. This builds a deeper, stronger level of commitment because it's not dependent on who notices your effort. You become anchored in your own standards, and that anchor keeps you grounded when challenges arise or when progress feels slow. Over time, unseen discipline rewires your identity. You stop being someone who makes promises and become someone who follows through. You prove to yourself that you can do hard things, not because someone pushed you, but because you pushed yourself. This internal confidence becomes a quiet force shaping how you walk, how you work, and how you approach every goal. Others may see your growth and think it happened suddenly, but you know it was built from countless invisible decisions behind the scenes. When you choose unseen discipline, you begin to master the art of showing up consistently, even when your emotions don't cooperate. You keep going on days when you feel tired, unmotivated, or uninspired. You develop the ability to work through resistance without relying on bursts of enthusiasm. This internal stability becomes a competitive edge because most people only work when they feel like it. Your willingness to keep moving, especially in silence, elevates you far beyond those who depend on mood rather than commitment. Unseen discipline also shapes your ability to delay gratification. You learn to trade what feels good now for what will feel extraordinary later. You stop chasing instant validation and begin building long-term results. This shift in mindset strengthens your patience, sharpens your perspective, and protects you from sabotaging your own progress. You begin to understand that the most meaningful success is grown, not grabbed, and the process is just as important as the reward. The beauty of unseen discipline is that it allows you to make mistakes without judgment. You can fall, get back up, adjust your strategy, and keep going without the pressure of being watched. This freedom to fail quietly is what helps you grow boldly. Your improvement becomes personal, progressive, and powerful because it isn't influenced by fear of embarrassment or the opinions of others. You evolve in peace before you rise in public. As the discipline continues, the evidence eventually becomes visible. Your confidence becomes stronger, your skills become sharper, your results become louder. People begin to notice the transformation, the achievements, the success, but they won't understand the price you paid to earn it. They will see the surface, not the roots. They will see the bloom, not the soil. They will see the success, not the sacrifices that built it. But that is the nature of unseen discipline. It builds quietly until it reveals itself boldly Unseen discipline creates a foundation that external challenges cannot shake. Because you were built in silence, you cannot be broken by noise. You don't crumble under pressure because your strength was forged long before pressure arrived. You don't seek shortcuts because you've already mastered the long road. You don't depend on attention because you learned to excel without it. This resilience makes your success sustainable, not temporary. In the end, unseen discipline becomes the hidden engine that drives visible success. It is the quiet work that becomes loud results, the private struggle that becomes public victory, the unseen hours that become undeniable excellence. It shapes you into someone whose results speak for them, whose growth becomes a testimony, and whose success carries a depth that only discipline can create. Let your success be your voice, because the world listens differently when results speak. You don't need to announce your plans or defend your dreams when your achievements can express them for you. Success has a language that requires no explanation, no justification, no debate. It communicates your discipline, your consistency, your resilience, and your transformation without you having to utter a single word. When you let your success speak, you rise above the noise of opinions and step into a space where proof carries more weight than promises. Letting your success be your voice means choosing action over affirmation. It means you stop chasing attention and start building something that demands attention on its own. Instead of telling people what you're going to do, you show them through execution. Instead of arguing with doubters, you silence them with results. Instead of seeking approval, you earn respect by demonstrating what you can accomplish. People may question your intentions, but they cannot question your outcomes. When you allow success to speak for you, you stop wasting energy trying to convince others of your potential. You redirect that energy into developing your skill, sharpening your mindset, and strengthening your habits. Conversations about what you might do become irrelevant because you're too busy doing the work that turns possibility into reality. Your time becomes more valuable when you reserve it for progress rather than persuasion. You learn that showing is always more powerful than telling. Letting your success be your voice also protects your peace. The moment you stop explaining yourself, you stop inviting unnecessary opinions into your journey. You stop giving people the opportunity to judge your process or interfere with your progress. You no longer feel the pressure to justify your pace or defend your strategy. You simply build in silence, grow in private, and allow your results to reflect the choices you made along the way. Peace becomes a byproduct of focusing on what you're creating instead of who is watching. As your success grows, it becomes a testimony of your perseverance. People may never see the struggles you endured, the sacrifices you made, or the setbacks you overcame, but they will see the transformation. They will see the difference in your performance, your confidence, your outcomes. That shift has a way of commanding respect without demanding it. Success tells a story that reveals your evolution more clearly than any explanation could. When you let your success be your voice, you step out of the trap of seeking validation from others. You realize that their approval is optional, but your progress is essential. You begin to trust your own process more deeply because you see the results it creates. Your confidence becomes rooted not in what people think, but in what you've proven to yourself. This kind of grounded confidence is unshakable because it's built on evidence that you earned, not applause that you borrowed. Success also becomes your voice when you stay consistent long enough for the world to notice. Most people quit before their efforts reveal results. They grow impatient, discouraged, or distracted. But when you persist quietly, your progress compounds. It grows beneath the surface until one day it becomes visible, undeniable, and impressive. That is the moment your success speaks the loudest, not in flashes of hype, but in proof born from persistence. Letting your success speak means accepting that not everyone needs to know your plans. Some people only understand finished products, not the process behind them. Some cannot see your vision, but they will see your results. And some may doubt your potential, but they will be unable to deny your achievements. Silence keeps you focused. Success keeps you credible. Together, they create a powerful combination that keeps you moving upward without friction. As your success continues to grow, you begin to realize that you don't need to respond to criticism, judgment, or disbelief. Your life becomes your response. Your outcomes become your answer. Your progress becomes your rebuttal. You stop wasting breath on arguments and build a track record that speaks with clarity that words cannot match. Success gives you a voice that is respected, remembered, and difficult to ignore. Let your success be your voice because results echo louder than declarations, intentions, or explanations. They speak with a certainty that opinions cannot diminish, a clarity that doubt cannot distort, and a volume that silence cannot mute. When you focus on building rather than talking, you create a legacy that introduces you long before you enter the room and a reputation that continues speaking even when you choose to remain silent.